The other day we got done creating equations in one variable. Now we're going to look at multiple variables. Okay? I'm going to give you one example, and then I'll have you complete the rest of the worksheet on your own. But let's look at this first one. It says complete all the problems. Okay, obviously. Okay, so number one, find the equation that gives the rule for this table. Okay. Okay. Now, these tables, this is the input, that's what we put in, and this is the output. This is the function table. Okay, and we'll talk about that stuff a lot more when we get into functions. But just for an introduction into writing an equation, we're going to take this. If I put in this table, one of the examples is if I put in a 5, I get an 18. Okay? Well, that's an increase. So I have like a couple options mathematically, what we've learned in the past. Okay? I can add. That increases things. Or multiplying usually increases things. Well, 5 to 18 multiplication, right? It's not straightforward anyway. Okay? Addition, 5 to 18, well, that's not too bad. That tells me plus 13, right? Okay, well, so let's check the next line. I input a 6, and the output is a 19. Well, obviously, that seems to still work, plus 13, okay? So right now, I'm going to go with, it's probably the addition one, and it's not some type of combination of addition and multiplication or multiplying by some sort of a fraction to get us there, okay? Or ratio, I guess I could say. The last example, 7 to 20. Well, that's also a difference of 13. So to go from 7 to 20, you add 13. So what we can do is we'll take the variable, the input variable, okay? And we say that when I input something into x, I have to add 13 to it for that to work for my function, f of x. My function is, when I put an input x in, I add 13 to it. That's what happens in that table. So this is my equation in two variables. Now, you're going to say, well, what's this f of x thing? Well, that's a function of x, okay? And I said we get into that a little bit more. Now, if you think that's a little complicated, we can just substitute y in for now. So in order to get the y value, and we can erase this right here and call that y as well, okay? In order to get my y value, I'm just going to take my input x and add 13 to it, okay? So it's really not that bad, okay? So if you feel more comfortable getting rid of that f of x, which stands for function of x, if you want to get rid of that, just replace it with a y. You can scribble those out and replace that with a y, because y is another name for the output, okay? The f of x tells us something else, just a little additional information, but at this point we don't need that, and we'll get into